Shaner.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Berenstein.
Here.
Bertrand. Rayford.
Here. Please stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brendan, come on up. We have a proclamation that reads, for over 60 years, community health centers have provided high-quality, affordable, comprehensive primary and preventive health care in our nation's underserved communities, delivering value to and having a significant impact on America's health care system. And whereas the country's largest primary care network, health centers now serve the health care home for over 333 million Americans and over 14,000 delivery sites across the nation, 1 in every 10 people in the United States get their care in a community health center. And whereas every day health centers are developing new approaches to integrating a wide range of services beyond primary care, including oral health, vision, behavioral health, and pharmacy services to meet the needs and challenges of their community. And whereas the Siouxland Community Health Center is a critical economic engine, helping to power the local economy by generating millions of dollars in combined economic impact and job creation. Health Center saves the entire health system billions of dollars annually by managing chronic conditions and keeping patients out of costly health care settings. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim August 2nd through the 8th, 2026, as National Health Center Week, and extend our appreciation to the Siouxland Community Health Center for its years of dedicated service to the people of Siouxland. I'd like to present this to you guys and say a few words if you would.
Sure. On behalf of Siouxland Community Health Center, I want to thank the mayor and the city council for this proclamation. We serve, just to get very specific, we serve over 35,000 patients every year at the health center. And not only do we just provide medical, dental, and behavioral health care, but we also serve in a very unique way in helping the homeless population, helping victims of human sex trafficking, helping those suffering from HIV. Those are the unique things that a community health center does, and we're very proud to be part of this community and appreciate the support that we get from the community from our work. So thank you.
Thank you for all you do. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Betty and Gary Gunderson.
Betty, come on up. Sure. This is awesome. Gary, you can go just straight up to her about it.
We were going out to dinner.
Well,
Give us an hour or so, we can all go with you.
Yeah, if Brad's buying. We'll join you.
Oh, you didn't know what you're here for. Well, good to see you.
Yeah, he asked me a minute ago, he said, do they serve lunch here?
Well, here's why you're here. Whereas Betty and Gary Gunderson are hereby recognized by the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on the occasion of their 70th wedding anniversary, a marriage that began on August 25th, 1956, and has stood as an enduring example of love, partnership, devotion, and family. And whereas through Gunderson Jewelries, Betty and Gary Gunderson have provided the city's citizens of Sioux City with exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and trusted service for more than 50 years, helping generations celebrate life's most meaningful milestones. Whereas Betty and Gary Gunderson have demonstrated remarkable dedication, perseverance, integrity, and a steadfast commitment to both their family business and the Sioux City community, leaving a lasting legacy of excellence and service. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Sioux City, Iowa, do hereby deem it an honor and a pleasure to extend this commendation to Betty and Gary Gunderson on the occasion of their 70th wedding anniversary with sincere congratulations and best wishes. I want to present this to you. And
Thank you.
hope you have a lot more.
Thank
So-
you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, come on.
We thought we were going out to dinner.
And we're coming with you. We're going to go with you, Gary.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
All right.
Gary.
Civil Service, Jacob, come on up.
Just a couple quick things. One, Stacy Anderson was able to give me a pin. I have not had one of these for a long time. I'm going to wear the proud Siouxlander button all the time. Again, as the executive director of the Food Bank of Siouxland, I'm at the table to make hiring, discipline, and termination decisions on behalf of our board. I hope that gives me the firsthand understanding to what a fair process looks like, what good documentation looks like, and where personnel decisions can go wrong. I bring that, I'd still want to bring that review process to the city matters, plus my master's degree in public administration gives me the formal grounding in public sector governance with practical experience. The other thing that I want to note, as I was just informed that, again, my cousin is not a civil service position, so there wouldn't be any conflicts of interest there. She also did get a hole-in-one this weekend, so just want to give her kudos to that.
She tied Nick, so that's.
Stand up and take a bow, cousin.
All right, sounds good.
The other thing, I did talk with Craig today about that my intention would be to stay on effective fiscal
Thank you.
until such time that a replacement, more interested people would be on that commission too.
Thank you. We had the
need-
chance to visit, and I know that the Effective Fiscal Management Committee is very important, and I know it does important things, but the Civil Service Commission needs representation, and I think especially with your background, as I shared with you this morning, we'll have to waive the rules to allow you to be on 2 commissions or boards, but I appreciate your interest in both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob.
Consent agenda today is items 3 through 11H. You can consider these items to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested by a council member. If you want to speak on an agenda item, please come up to the podium at the time it's being discussed. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. Remember to always state your name for the record, and I move that. Is there a second?
Second.
3 is the reading of the city council minutes of July 27th.
I'm comfortable with the minutes. As I shared with Heidi earlier, I would prefer that we have a little more detail to some of the items, including the gentleman that shared his concern about the storm sewer issues last week, but I also respect the fact that how the minutes are prepared, so I won't ask for an amendment to the minutes.
4 is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Blackline Safety for cartridges, technical and maintenance support, and a 1 year of alarm monitoring service for gas meters.
So this item includes cost for the first year of monitoring. Do we have any idea what the second, third, and fourth year of cost for monitoring will be?
Vicki Baker, Assistant Public Works Director. We just get a quote every year on what it's going to cost.
So are there multiple service providers that could also provide the
No.
monitoring, or just this
It's just through
company?
the vendor.
Five are actions relating to grants. A is a resolution approving and accepting a joint participation agreement with the IDOT for the State Transit Assistance Grant for Public Transit Services. B is a resolution approving and accepting a grant agreement with the Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Continuum of Care Coordinated Entry Fund. C is a resolution approving and accepting a grant agreement with the Department of Housing and Urban Development for Continuum of Care Homeless Management Information System Funds. D is a resolution approving and accepting a grant agreement with the Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Continuum of Care Planning Project Grant Funds. 6 are actions relating to street closures. A is a resolution temporarily closing a portion of West 19th Street on October 31st, West High School Homecoming Parade. B is a resolution temporarily closing various streets in the downtown area on September 29th for the Dueling Pianos event. C is a resolution temporarily closing various streets in the downtown area September 17th through the 20th for Art Splash. 7 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving a tolling agreement.
Can I get a little information? So we're tolling the agreement with Bartlett and West on a mediation because of the Weiss arbitration?
We're tolling the statute of limitations on
Right, but
possible action.
as it relates to Bartlett and West.
Correct.
But how about the Weiss arbitration? How does that correlate to Bartlett and West?
Bartlett and West is a potential party relating to that underlying litigation in a separate lawsuit.
So you're waiting for resolution of the Weiss or Weiss arbitration and
Yeah.
pulling the support?
Yes,
Do we have a deadline on the trolling?
the tolling.
I couldn't
apologize.
find it in the homework. I did kind of.
Yes.
If it was like 90 days or,
No, it's for a period of time. And Stephen is present.
that's okay. I can find out later. I just wondered what the length of the tolling would be, the pause.
I believe it's for a year in the agreement.
Oh, okay,
Is what it's
good.
set it for. So obviously, we want to get this resolved relatively soon, but we have other pending litigation in the
Yep.
next few months here that we'd like to resolve first.
Right, okay.
D is a resolution approving a settlement agreement and a release. C is a resolution authorizing termination of the contract with Keywood Infrastructure as a construction manager at risk
Mayor,
for pre-construction services for the wastewater treatment plant improvements.
Mr. Mayor, no discussion requested, but can we pull that out for an individual vote? C? Can we pull C out for an individual vote?
Yes, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott. Berenstein.
Aye.
Bertrand.
Aye.
Rayford.
D is a resolution approving change order number 2 to the contract with KP Construction for one additional replacement in connection with the manhole replacement project. E is a resolution awarding the contract to Knife River Midwest for the Hamilton Boulevard resurfacing project.
Can I ask that this item be pulled for separate vote? Discussion as well as, did we only get one bidder on this project?
State job, and not everybody can qualify. I can answer that because I'm good friends with the other guy that put the bid together but couldn't get the state to approve him quick enough. He would have been low bid too, by the way, but that's what they always say when they don't bid.
That's true.
Katie Eichelt, senior civil engineer. There was only one bidder for the DOT letting.
And is that because they don't other bidders don't qualify?
That's just the only person that submitted a bid.
No, but you have to, this is a state letting and you have to be on the state list to bid a state job.
Correct.
Right.
There are
Yep.
certain qualifications and you have to start.
Some companies don't get their ducks in a row in time to even get a bid in, nor do they want to go to the
It's a
effort.
weird process. It's not, but
Right.
you bid them through the state, you're going to limit the number of bidders you have. But that you had to bid it that way, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, because it has state funding tied to it, so we did follow a DOT letting.
Ready? Scott.
Aye?
Berenstein.
No?
Bertrand.
Aye.
Rayford. Shaner.
Aye.
F is a resolution approving a master service agreement and statement. I want to go back to this. I'm sorry. Are we taking medians out on this thing now?
We're taking any median out that we can that does not control crossing traffic. And that will be painted.
F is a resolution approving a master services agreement and a statement of work agreement with Civic Plus for a cloud-based solution that assists in capturing and archiving records of online and social media communication. 8 are actions relating to personnel. A is a resolution amending the statement of authorized personnel complement by deleting 2 clerical assistant positions and adding 2 customer service specialist positions in the Inspection Services Department. B is a resolution amending the authorized personnel complement by removing 1 EMS training officer position and adding 1 position to perform the duties of the EMS training officer within the Fire Department's training division.
Teresa, so is the increase of 22,000 to 29,000 budgeted? Or because of the delay, it's budgeted because we haven't been expending those
Teresa Fitch, Assistant City Manager, yes, it is budgeted because of the delay.
because of the delay?
Yep.
And so Chief, Teresa or the Chief, so this is the resolution that you've come up with because you're still not getting applicants for the EMS position itself?
Right, so Brian Collins, Fire Chief. So as you'll recall, back in January, when we identified the recruitment and retention challenges with this position, we split the lead medic and EMS training officer classifications, which allowed us to increase the wages for the EMS training officer position. We posted that internally, did not receive any applicants. We went external, did receive an applicant, but they were unsuccessful in passing the entry-level testing process. So that leads us to where we're at today.
So will this position have to take the same test and qualify?
Didn't we waive the rules?
So this position would, or whoever fills this position would still have to meet the minimum qualifications for that EMS training officer position using the internal process. The external process we had to use an entry-level testing process, which include the physical agility test and an oral exam. Internally, all they would have to do is pass that oral exam to make that promotion. The lieutenants have already done that to attain the rank of lieutenant, so they have already gone through the process.
So just so we're clear that this is a great real-time example of when we can suspend the civil rules when a quality candidate didn't surface.
Correct.
Now, we did leave the door open still. I think we had good
You know where I'm
discussion
going with this.
with AFSCME, that it could revert back to an AFSCME position at some point. So hasn't closed the door completely.
Yeah, so using this fire lieutenant is kind of like a backstop. The position is still going to be retained for EMS personnel as a promotional opportunity in the future. But in the future, if there are no qualified applicants, either internally or externally, we can move a lieutenant back into that position. That ensures that there's no future long-term vacancies for that position. Because it is so critical, adding a lieutenant back there, it serves as a backstop to make sure that we don't have that long-term vacancy.
So just it's 2 separate issues I'm bringing up. I'm just trying to illuminate, we're all sitting here together, that we did suspend the rules.
So we've suspended the rules
So
that
when we
allowed us.
exhausted our opportunities to hire someone through the civil service, we then said, okay, we don't have a qualified candidate, and we went outside of it. So there's a precedent, a real-time precedent that we have right here in front of us. You guys know where I'm going with this. Second thing is, I have a question on this position, is from a transportation standpoint, if someone is at, up at Luke's, up at Unity, and they need to be transferred downtown, this position the EMS can't transfer, right?
No, we are 911 service.
That's a hole in our system right now, right? Because by eliminating, does this affect that at all, or?
No,
is that a local ordinance? Is that something that you guys decide that we're not gonna do the transportation? Because that's another hole in our system right now with our hospitals is, I mean, you have a heart attack, you go north, and they got all facilities now down south.
Yeah.
And how do you get down there? And they're gonna put you in a helicopter, and they are at times.
So in 2018, when we started the EMS transport division, we were going to maintain a 911 service. We are not a transfer service. We don't have the staffing to do that.
So that's a local decision?
Yeah.
Okay. So as the EMSs dissolve and gets rolled up into the fire, which I'm cool with,
we're all one.
Yeah, so we don't, but who transports them now? There's 3 left or 2 left?
For interfacility transfer,
yeah.
Unity Point has their own ambulances that they use for that. They have slowly started to grow that service.
I understand Sergeant Bluff helps out once in a while.
They do occasionally, yes.
Okay. And why don't we do it again? Just because it's got to be on call?
It's staffing. It's staffing. We want to make sure that we maintain units and personnel available for 911 calls.
Yeah, I just don't want to be laying up north and I can't get a ride down south because they moved everything down south.
They used to have like 9 ambulances when it was the Sioux City. We don't have that many.
What's Gap? There's 2, I think, now.
5 that were just used for transports that did, like the cancer center and everything else. And when we first took it over, which we didn't want to take it over, by the way, the hospitals kind of shoved it down our throats. They had that group out of Des Moines, that Midwest ambulance that came in, and they did all the transports. And we've never grown because you can't make money on it, and we'll be subsidizing this thing like crazy if we start transporting besides. I want to go back to Rick's first thing. Are we suspending civil service? I don't think so. It's just didn't fill the position.
Yeah, so in the complement, right now, it'll be listed as a fire lieutenant in the complement for the EMS division, but there will be a notation on the bottom that indicates that when, in 3 years, if there's a vacancy for a fire lieutenant, it will be posted as an EMS training officer first.
Right.
And we'll
I'm
exhaust
just
that
saying
process.
The fire lieutenant's already qualified, so there is
Yes.
civil service that has nothing to do with this position, is all I'm saying.
I
No,
think
that was the
Councilman
recruit- that's the
Bertrand's
recruitment
point was
candidate.
when we went to external, trying to find an external candidate, having that waiver allowed us to
go internally.
Allowed us to not have to hire, if someone did make that civil service list, that they weren't going to be a good fit for that position, allowed us to kind of bypass that. That's what that waiver was for.
You were able to deviate from the list itself.
Yes, but there was no
This is the
candidate that
byproduct.
actually made the list, so it wasn't necessary.
But this is the byproduct of doing that, right?
No, because the person never did make a list.
Yeah.
We never did
Yeah.
have a list.
Had they
But
made
we
a
didn't
list
get to that-
and we
we
didn't,
didn't
So
to
the
that point.
lieutenant that's being promoted up through, it's going to be civil.
Not promoted, they already have one.
they have a list of lieutenants. They've
Yeah, we
already
already
made the
have a list
list
of
based on civil service, yes.
So when we went through this issue during the budget cycle, and tried to get the initial classification, we reclassified, tried to evaluate, we had an issue amongst the various unions. This will not be another issue for them.
No, we've had lengthy discussions with both unions. We've gone back and forth. We don't have any type of written agreement between the two. It's more of a verbal agreement, but we will have something in writing so that everybody fully understands the process going forward.
And the fair labor claim that was asserted 5 months ago, has that been resolved?
Yes. Janelle?
Not going to speak to that, but it will be in the resolution as he's described today.
Okay.
Janelle Bertrand, Human Resources Director. Craig, could you repeat your question, please?
The assertion, the fair labor concern that was raised 5 months ago when we were going through the budget cycle and trying to determine the classification, we made some modifications. We were looking at the distinction between the various unions. Claims were asserted. Have those been resolved?
That doesn't involve us, so I'm not aware where that is at. It's between the two unions, and I haven't received any information on that.
I want to be clear, because this is going to be relevant here in the next few weeks. I want to be that we suspended the civil rules when the candidate did not surface, and then nothing qualified again. Then we went back and they hired an internal. So we're back into the civil side of it, but this council suspended the rules civilly.
We suspend them all the time.
I know, but Bob, I just want to make sure that we're on the rule. Okay,
Suspend them
we're
all the
good.
time, not just for police and fire. but
Okay,
we
that's.
Suspend them all the time.
I just want to make sure that we're all
Suspending those
crystal
rules
clear on that,
doesn't
because it's going to be relevant.
declassify them as the civil service position. They still are a civil service
All right.
position with those rules waived.
Okay.
And they still go through the testing that's
Right.
qualified, they just don't have to hire off that list.
Okay.
That's the only difference.
Clarify that again.
If a department suspends a rule, the applicants still have to meet the minimum qualifications and participate in all of the required civil service examinations.
Right.
And they still have to pass those
Right.
to be placed on either the eligibility list if it's civil service or the all applicant list if there's been a waiver.
They just don't have to exhaust the list.
Right.
correct?
Departments just don't have to exhaust the all applicant list like they would an eligibility list.
You know where I'm going with this.
What?
You know what I'm doing.
I know.
I just want to make sure you understand.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Julie wants to go back to 5.
I do.
Item 5?
I want to go back to 5, B, C, and D. Jill? Jill, could you come up, please? These are some significant amounts, and I just would like you to go over B, C, and D, what we use that funding for, and how important it is to us.
Sure. Jill Wanderscheid, Neighborhood Services Manager. So these funds come from HUD to us. It's basically funding everything in a nutshell that's required of us by the federal government to serve those that are experiencing homelessness. The first one is our coordinated entry. That is a federal requirement. HUD says if you're going to get any funding from any federal source to help you if you're experiencing homelessness, you have to be put in a database. And you have to be referred out from that database. So our staff does all of the intakes and the management of that database. So this pays for our staff time. The second one, and some other things like photo ID, birth certificates, those kinds of things.
We have funds when we do help people retrieve those documents when they need them to sign up for essential services or whatever.
Yep, Section 8, all those kinds of things.
Correct. And they say, I don't have a driver's license, I don't have my social security card. We help them get it, and this helps us pay for it.
Yes, exactly.
Are there reporting aspects to those funds when you use them for?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, there's tracking.
Yep, pretty much all the time, kind of in real time. And then what's called HMIS, the Homeless Management Information System, that's a smaller grant that pays for our software. We're required to have software that manages this entire system. And so that primarily, the majority of those funds pay for that software each year. And then the planning grant, we are the lead agency for the Continuum of Care, which is the Siouxland Coalition in Homelessness. So this pays for some training that we provide to the group, our staff time to do all the reporting, all of the plans, all of the grant applications that we're required to put together as a part of that. And we also partner with SHIP. They provide some staff time towards this that we pay for as well to get that done for our community.
Thank you for explaining that. You know, I think these things are oftentimes under the radar, how much the city actually does do and contribute, and not just with these grant dollars, but with staff time and expertise coming out of your department. Not all cities do intake. Not all cities invest in finding solutions for people. There's hardly a time when I drive by your office on Nebraska that someone's not, waiting their next turn to come in and, get some assistance from your staff. And again, I just wanted everyone to know this isn't just a random grant that's getting lost somewhere. These dollars are being put to good use for people who are unhoused and they need help get to next step.
Yeah. And I will say, you mentioned that we are unique as the city. We are the only city in Iowa that handles it this way. There's a third party that's based out of Des Moines that does a lot of this for other communities. We also use those services. We made that change probably 3 or 4 years ago. Council was supportive at the time. It's been a really good change for our community because we can be a lot more responsive and quicker too.
Well, I've never had a hole-in-one, but when you do, it can be very costly. None of these funds are being used for what you had to.
No, I did not commit any fraud. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Glad to hear it. I just
Jill, is that your first hole-in-one?
Yes.
Congratulations.
87 yards?
84.
84
yes.
yards?
Yeah.
Well,
congratulations.
Any other questions about the hole-in-one? I'm happy to talk about it over and over and over again. I think everyone's getting sick of hearing me talk about it. But
Was it a great shot, or did it bounce and?
it was a great shot. Actually,
doesn't
Megan and
matter.
Renee were witnesses.
A hole-in-one.
It's a hole-in-one. I don't care.
Win the win. Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you so very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
9 are actions relating to property. A is a resolution inviting proposals to sell a vacated portion of Cone Park and the Donner Park urban renewal area, announcing the intent to accept the proposal of Siouxland developers and scheduling a hearing.
Let's skip 30 days for responses.
Yes, it will schedule a hearing date and then a deadline for proposals or additional bids.
Very good, thank you.
And if other proposals come in,
Yes, and they are measured by the criteria set in the resolution and the hearing notice for the project.
and it's not like we want to go local, we have to go with the best proposal.
Subjective.
The council would be able to evaluate any competing proposals in the.
But we have to give a reason why the one's better than the other.
Yes, and there are 3, I believe, in our standard resolution inviting the sale and announcing the intent to accept the proposal. There are 3 criteria that are set forth.
That's fine, we can have that one with it, they come in.
So it will be important for any potential developer to give us as much detail as possible regarding their project.
Yes, essentially, if they look in the resolution, it is the quality of the proposed development, and then there are 3 subsections, and then the economic feasibility of the proposed development with an additional 3 subsections of criteria.
Thank you. B is a resolution approving a post-construction stormwater management plan maintenance agreement and easement with Morningside University for a detention basin, accepting a permanent easement, the property at 1501 Morningside Avenue. 10 are applications for alcohol licenses, 11 are boards, commissions, and committee minutes.
On the minutes that we get from the boards and commissions, I've asked, I know it's not internal, but we're sometimes getting the minutes from meetings after we're taking action on certain items related to those boards and commissions. P&Z will take action on that item. We're getting the minutes after we've already taken action on something they've already heard. I just don't understand. If it's a quarterly meeting, I would understand how there's a delay in getting their minutes, but if they've got monthly meetings, we ought to be getting those as soon as they review them, approve them at their next meeting, and getting them to us. Thank you.
Okay. Passes 5-0. Recommendations of planning and zoning. 12 is an ordinance vacating part of the east-west alley and a portion of Magnolia Street and Walnut Avenue. The petitioner, Guillermo Martinez, the P&Z recommends approval. The first consideration was approved on July 27th. I'll move it.
Second.
Wade Schultz, City Planning. I've been asked if you guys would just do second reading today to allow the real estate office a little bit more time.
Just do second reading, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Okay.
Passes 5-0. Discussion. 13 is a motion accepting the annual evaluation of the Art Center Director deferred from July 20th, 2026. I'll move that.
Second. And I do want to say, I know Todd's here. Wasn't Todd here? Yeah. Well, there he is. I appreciate, we deferred this because the evaluation wasn't in our materials last week. We received it this week, and I want to say I appreciate your board's diligence in reviewing, because obviously, Todd, I support what you and the Art Center do. I think you do a great job, but I felt like the evaluation itself was not only was it detailed, but it was very objective, and it looked very in great detail at each of the elements. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank your Board of Trustees for doing a great job. Thank you.
And just for the record, it was in the homework. You just couldn't.
It just, mine wouldn't open.
Right, right. So they submitted it.
14 is a motion authorizing city staff to enter, I'm sorry. Passes 5-0. 14 is a motion authorizing city staff to enter into negotiations with the Ameriflex to serve as the city's health savings account administrator deferred from July 13th and the 20th. I'll move that. When does this go into effect, though? I mean, this is I don't know why you do this mid-year, but why? I guess. It would seem you'd want a clean break at the first of the year, but what do I know?
Janet Fuller, HR Benefits Manager. This would go into effect for 1/1, but we start this early to make sure that we have adequate time to get all systems updated and all contracts approved.
Makes sense, then. Okay.
Janet, I thought when we talked about this before that we were going to reevaluate the process and maybe have them rebid as a bundle as opposed to separate items.
That never came up in that last, there was nothing finalized. I did not get that out of that last meeting.
Anyone to be heard?
Hi, Stuart Lee with IBC. So can I clarify, is this just for the flex? Because last time we talked, it was bundled and we were within $80 on the whole package. So is the city going to take over the Cobra again? That's the last I heard of this. The Cobra administration.
It is our intent to take over the COBRA, to reabsorb the COBRA.
Was that a recommendation from your consultant? Because I don't know of any groups that I've heard of that have taken over COBRA again. That's a very onerous law, and most large groups, especially over 1,000 employees, don't want to touch it because it's very complicated.
I did administer the COBRA for the first 5 years that I was here, and I'm familiar with the regulations and the rules and the timings and all of the changes. And I'm actually one of those people who goes out and watches all the legislation, and I'm to make sure that there are any changes that come up. I am on notification list, so I receive all of that information as well.
I just wondered if that was a recommendation from your consultant.
So when you said
because
you were within $80 is just the COBRA part of it or the whole thing?
Total package.
Whole shooting match.
On a $12,000 annual.
And you guys are the existing administrators right now?
We've done it for 10 years. We've done the COBRA for 5 or 6.
So you're losing it for $80?
If the city absorbs the COBRA, then it's more. It's like $2,500 or $3,000 a year.
But you'll do the COBRA.
If we do the COBRA as we've done it for the last 6
Right.
years, we're within $80 for
I
the
mean
full
this with
package.
complete respect. I'm just asking, is the disruption and everything, is it worth it at this point? I mean, I'm not
That's
poking the
okay.
bear. I'm
No.
sincerely asking, because I always look at it just from a consumer standpoint. I don't get the insurance, but if you're converting things, we got a 10-year standing local guy, and with $80, is there something that triggered it? They piss you off or something, or what happened? He can do that. I've seen him.
We actually put this out and what we've done with our plans. When I became the benefit manager, we actually make sure that all of our plans are competitive. And so we put our plans out to bid on a regular basis.
Okay.
We actually did defer doing flex spending for quite some time because this is the first time since I took over that we've actually put flex out for bid. And it really is about ensuring that we're getting the best value for the dollar. So we've changed prescription companies. We did not change medical because it was still the most viable option. We have changed dental and we have changed vision. We're probably going to be looking here to change identity theft here. I just need to get that RCA put together because I believe that it's my responsibility to make sure that we're spending our dollars appropriately.
So again, respectfully, if
With the transition.
he would have came in, if their company would have came in $70 under, would this even be a discussion?
It's not just $70. That's a one way to look at it if it was bundled.
That's why I look at it.
But it isn't, they weren't bundled.
Okay.
And the savings was actually significantly higher than $70.
So what are we actually saving by switching? That's a fair question.
I've got to go back and look at the numbers, but I'm thinking it was $13K over 3 years.
It's about $3,000 a year. And that's, again, not taking into account, that's city absorbing the COBRA administration, so there's dollars for work.
Which again, they're there.
For the
I get
COBRA,
that.
yep,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
COBRA administration.
Yeah, but you're implementing it, right?
What?
You're doing the work?
So right now, I actually do a substantial amount of, I don't do all of the work from the maintaining side, but before I can even send COBRA or get people set up into their system, I actually put together all of the information because I still have to send the certificate of credible coverage and the life insurance conversion notice because that's not managed. So I have all of the information already put together. So it's not like it's a huge additional time because I already have to put that information and then
So
I manually.
So you're the one physically implementing this one, so moving forward, this is your hands on the red button. So what happens if you fall over?
Then I've got a backup who is in training right now to take over some of that administrative load as well.
Versus we got a third party and he could fall over and we're okay because it's a third party vendor. I'm just kind of curious on, I just don't, the dollar part of it, don't get me wrong, fiscal hawk, I get it. And I love your passion and I love the cost savings part of it. And I mean, I compliment that. I just don't like a little bit of the disruption in the service if we've got 10 years rolling. Make that case again on why that 3,000.
Can I jump in real quick?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can I jump in real quick? Sorry to interrupt you. We did this last fall, and so we have a couple new board members, 3 of you. One of the big discussions items last fall was we have a lot of your employees walk into our office and get checks because we cut them right there for you. We actually had a police officer last week who said to our staff, I have a couple of them here, I wish I would have been at that council meeting because I would have told them that I walked in personally and gave my information, and I'm so happy they stayed with IBC last year. That was last week.
So I have also received feedback on the opposite side of that. So I'm not saying it isn't a benefit. I have walked in myself and gotten checks. But it's of the 300 participants, it's not all positive.
Second reading, where are we at in this?
This, we haven't, it was deferred, it was deferred from before. Yeah, and Janet, I apologize. I thought that the direction that we were going from with the deferral was to reevaluate based upon package bids, because I think we need to look at them as a whole as opposed to separate.
That's not what I got out of that meeting. Otherwise, I would have
Sure.
notified all participants and reissued the.
But what our choice is here is we either pass this or we vote to stick with what we have.
So we have the option to stay with what we have?
I believe so.
Janet?
If you don't authorize me to go into negotiations with Ameriflex, that is true. We will stay where we are.
Just 1 second, but by code, we don't have the ability to negotiate a price, right? That's not from a,
The price is already in place.
That's
We
what I'm
actually
saying.
put this out for, we already put this
choosing
out
one
for
or the other.
proposals.
now it's just a matter of choice. If we as a council say we think there's a value in no disruption, I'm just learning,
Local.
guys. We have that option up here to
And a
take.
local vendor.
We do. Okay. Okay.
Hi, Council. My name is Tamika Dew. I'm the Vice President of Government Channel Operations for Ameriflex. We did respond to the fall of 2025 solicitation through public bid, and we also responded to the one that was also issued 2026. Our proposal was submitted with transparent and open and honest pricing. The RFP requested itemized pricing, not bundled, so we did provide that for the products that are currently being procured by the city. I am open to answer any questions regarding our offer. There was some information that was stated in prior city council meetings that were untrue about Ameriflex's proposal, so I'd love to.
What was that?
Well, one statement was made by your current provider that our FSA guarantee was not appropriate or not legitimate, and that's an untrue statement. It's untrue.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
In the event that we have an employee who leaves without, or who leaves, but they've already, if I elect $1,000 on January 1, and I spend $1,000 on January 1, and I quit on January 5, I can, and the city absorbs that loss. That's part of the IRS regulations. Ameriflex has in place a guarantee where the city would not absorb any of that loss. They actually cover that amount.
That's as a whole, right?
We'll cut a
For the
check at the
entire-
aggregate loss, yes. That's correct.
That's your employee on a whole, not each person individually, right?
That's the aggregate, a net aggregate loss
Right.
for
So
all
that's
employees.
never happened in the 10 years of history of the
So
city of Sioux City.
with every employer, there's always terminations and retirements, and so that's where that guarantee will come in place. So it's either,
But it's never happened.
Never
one of
happened.
those.
10 years. I've never had a client where it's happened, actually, for aggregate on the whole, for the whole group.
So Janet, what's your timeline? What's your drop dead where we got to make a decision? Today? Seems rough.
I do, because I need to get the contract in place, and not that you all need to know, but I'm actually going to be out part of August and out part of September for personal reasons.
All right.
And in order to get everything open and up and running for
So
open
Nicole,
enrollment, it needs to get done.
Is it appropriate if I made a motion just to put us on the record on if we want to stay with the existing or if we're going to accept the other? Is that appropriate?
Well, you could just vote this down or delete it from the agenda, and then it would just go back.
A bid, or we could accept what we want?
Well, I
The bids
believe
are already in.
That's what I
so
mean.
We're going to vote yes
the
or no.
current,
We're not breaking any rules by,
No.
I'm saying it doesn't have to go rebid again. I'm trying to.
No, it doesn't.
Process.
the current contract runs through the end of this year, through
You'd have to
December.
renegotiate on the extension of the current contract?
No.
No, that's what I was
It
asking.
goes to the end of this year.
We have a contract that goes through 12/31 of '26, and so we would have to put together a new contract for the 3 years with the two-year optional extensions.
I'm gonna, just because I want to see where everybody's at, I don't like disruption of things where we're at, just my opinion, maybe it means nothing. But I'd like to see us stay with the existing provider. So what do I need to do to just?
You don't have, you just vote that one down.
Right, we just vote no.
Because it's already a motion.
So I would urge my council members to take a hard look at disruption,
Local vendor.
local down on Water Street, paying property taxes. I've heard no complaints. I'm sure they're there, but I mean respectfully, Janet, with you, I know you work hard. I see the passion in your eyes, and I don't know if that's that you want to kill me or. But, yeah.
No, you would know.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just giving you a hard time. No, I know you work your butt off on this, and everybody appreciates it. But let's take that vote and see what happens, and I'll.
Okay.
Do you want to consider all three at one time because there is an impact across the next three items, this item and the next two?
Yeah, because you want to.
I would like
you
to,
want to bundle
yes.
it, yeah.
I would like to see them bundled.
Well, they'll still remain independent, but you can vote them all down, and then we just have to look at the contracts for each line independently.
Okay.
And the two that I'm looking, so 14 and 15 are negotiations with Ameriflex, but then 16 is negotiations with IBC.
That's because the proposal that came through for Cobra from IBC was the lowest.
Nicole, do we have any?
So there's no way to bundle that anyway, right?
They're all no.
Well, I think staff has made a recommendation based on the numbers that came in, and you can choose to vote
We don't
that
have
down. Well,
Not from a contractual standpoint.
I generally don't like to answer liability questions on the floor, but I will say that if you reject the proposal, then, I mean, that's okay. You have the option to do that.
That's
And
fair.
then you
That's
would
great.
have to negotiate on the existing contract, which would allow you to go beyond the end of the year. For all three items, it encompasses all three items, correct? Yes.
So a yes vote is, and a no vote is what?
A no
A yes
vote.
vote is authorizing
And a-
staff to
And a no vote
negotiate.
is, no vote is to maybe consider local, or is to stay local.
Correct.
A no vote is just saying no negotiation.
status
Of
quo.
this.
Okay.
So can I just ask also, so when you enter, Janet, into negotiations, is that, because I think you said the price was set or?
Right, it's contract negotiations to make sure that the terms are appropriate as we work through with legal. That the pricing is set through the RFP process.
This is a tough one for me because I certainly want to go local. But how many times do we ask people to bid around here and then we don't give them the work? Let's just quit saying we're gonna put this stuff out for proposals then, because this is the second time in a year that we're sitting here. You ask staff to do stuff and then we don't honor it. So let's don't have this charade that we're really
I
gonna.
don't think we do that very often.
I actually think it was a good discussion.
Well,
I
this
think it
is
was
the
actually a really good
second time in
discussion.
a year with this exact same contract. So how fair is it for people to spend money to put something together and they don't make any money on this contract anyway, so 15 is a motion authorizing city staff to enter negotiations with Ameriflex to serve as the city's flexible spending account administrator deferred from July 16th and 20th. And by the way, Stuart, I do think you do a great job. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a process for me. So.
We would need a motion and a second.
I'll move 15.
I'll second.
I'm going to revote it. So it was moved by Councilman Berenstein?
Sure.
Sorry, I heard, that's what.
Yes.
Berenstein?
You're not taking the,
No,
voice
because
vote?
the
No.
vote was taken before a motion was.
no,
So I'm going to call it Berenstein?
no.
Bertrand?
No.
Rayford? Shaner?
No.
Scott?
16 is a motion authorizing city staff to enter into negotiations with IBC to serve as the city's Cobra administrator, deferred from July 13th and 20th. The motion is requested to delete this item. I'll move it.
Second.
So if we delete this item, will the Cobra administration then be bundled with the HSA and FSA dialogue for renewing the contract? Is that correct, Janet or Janelle?
I would suggest if you want IBC to continue with the Cobra administration, that you vote yes for that so that we can make sure that that also gets negotiated appropriately.
But the motion
So you'd
is to
vote no,
delete.
because this is.
Delete it.
Oh, to delete. I wouldn't delete it because if we're going to use them, why would we delete it?
Right.
Just go ahead and get the contract up and running.
Right.
So you want an aye or an L? Oh, you put.
No to delete it. No deleting.
The motion on the floor is to delete the item.
Right.
We don't want to delete.
We don't want to delete it.
So it's the opposite of the other two.
No. Vote no, because you don't want to delete it. You want it to stay on the agenda for Janet to be able to negotiate the COBRA. No, you want to vote aye.
Okay.
Excuse me, you want to vote no, yeah.
No, I'm just saying you got to vote
Sorry,
aye.
or you can just bring back the motion to delete and just move it to enter into negotiations with IBC.
What's easiest?
The easiest is just vote no.
Just vote no, because we don't want to
Okay.
delete
You don't want to
it.
delete it.
That's why.
Right.
Okay. On the deletion, Bertrand,
No.
Rayford, Shaner,
No.
Scott,
No.
Berenstein.
No.
Citizen concerns. Any citizen want to be heard?
Delete. So I'm sorry, now you would have to vote on the main motion if you wanted to enter into negotiations, because you did not delete it. So there needs to be action taken.
But isn't the COBRA administration part of the Flex and the HSA activity?
No,
No, it's separate.
that's why Janet
It is
was saying
separate.
that you would have to approve this to move forward with adding COBRA to the contract for next year.
I will move that.
Rayford, Shaner,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Berenstein,
Aye.
Bertrand.
Aye.
Okay, citizen concerns.
Maria?
Hi, Maria Ranco is 3131 Norman Drive. So I make the effort to come even I'm recovering from an accident. Okay, I'm here because you, as all you know about the media, is all the media about the two finalists. One individual is under investigation for sexual misconduct in several states, and you all have the information that I sent to Bob Scott, Ike, Rayford, and Craig, because I know you listen and I trust you. Sorry that I didn't send you to you, Julie and Rick, but I didn't have your emails. So I am very concerned about this individual, and I'm here to recommend that you still having the meet and greet on Wednesday, August 5th. So there is a possibility to cancel that event. My question is, number two, is there is a possibility that you guys cancel and start all over? It was a mistake to fire a consultant. You got with this problem with two individuals that are outsiders that we don't know. Until I got the tip that one guy is not qualified on his behavior. So I don't know what you guys gonna do, but the community knows about it, and it's gonna be very embarrassed that they come and protest about the candidates. One is not good, and the other we don't know, but you will have a protest. So, and it's not good for the city and not for the council. So I'm very concerned, but it's up to you, because you elected officials have the power and jurisdiction of council and start all over, and whatever you decide to do, but you have as an elected official, the jurisdiction to start all over. So this is my big concern.
Maria.
Thanks, Maria.
Hi, my name is Robin Shiro. I live at 311 East Washington in Elk Point. Today I want to talk to you as a Lions Club member. We weren't sure if you knew, but we wanted to bring forward a couple of items since we're celebrating this week. One of the items we do is Iowa Kids Site, and that's all for preschool kids. We test their eyes to make sure before they go to school if they have an issue that they get with an ophthalmologist, etc. We had a lens that was very difficult. We had a lot of retakes and things like that, and we have a new lens that we will be initiating this week that is supposedly helping us to not have as many retakes. Any preschool that is in the area, the Siouxland, in fact, we've had so many and go so far because we have been doing this, and a lot of the other Lions clubs cannot afford the lens as we can, the camera, to be able to do this. And so in our club, we are able to go even farther to other clubs, areas, and things like that. And I just wanted to make you aware of that, that's one of the issues that we do as Lions Club members. We also, in this past year, we were able to afford a grant. We submitted for a grant for a camera for Unity Point Health. Unity Point Health NICU unit has where they need lenses themselves for the kids that are preemies. And these lenses that they use, they had one that they needed for darker colored skin and darker colored hair, and features the kids that was not as visible, so we needed a better camera. So we initiated a $5,000 donation, and across the Northwest region for the Lions Club, we were able to raise over $18,000, and we were able to purchase one of these lenses to be able to, they currently have 2 lenses, but now they'll have the 3, which is a better lens for them. This covers all the way from Sioux Falls all the way to Omaha. When I say this lens, what happens is they are given, they're taken this projection and see if they see something in it. These nurses, when in NICU, if they happen to see something, they still have to send it to Omaha. We do not have a person here or in the Sioux Falls area. So maybe in the future we will, but currently we do not. So we send the pictures to Omaha and then have them tell us what they would like us to do, whether we need to fly the child down to Omaha for more tests or things like that. We have our celebration this week at Unity Point Health at St. Luke's Hospital. We're having our celebration, and we have our newcomers coming in for both the kids' site and also the one for the NICU unit. And I just wanted to invite all of you. It's Thursday, August 6th, and it's from 11 to noon. If you would like to attend, we'll be up on the 3rd floor of the hospital at the NICU unit.
I'm sorry, what time was it?
From 11 to noon.
You're good. Thank you very much.
It's very interesting in this lens when you get to see the results and different things, and also the NICU unit. It's very, you would be able to look into the NICU unit and tour some of the things to see what happens. If you're interested, I think it's a great opportunity. It's an area that is in your community that you provide, that a service that I think maybe more people in the community need to know about.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. I'm still not on the email list for the volunteer for the historic preservation for the house. I just wanted to let you know that. I don't know what's happening, but I can't get back on the list. Thank you. Any help, city manager, would be great.
Okay. Anyone else be heard? Seeing none, we'll go to Hart.
Good evening. Ryan Bertrand, Captain, Sioux City PD.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, Captain.
Well, we've had a lot going on. Hart Not only Hart, but obviously you guys know the UTV ordinance is out. We got a lot of action. I might as well be on some of the stuff we got going on that. Our social media team's been out, getting the word out to businesses and using our social media to reach out with resources with nice infographics to let people know what they can and can't do on the UTV stuff. We have UTV officer guides created for the officers that explain code section, explanation of the charge, and some of the charges. We're working on getting that integrated into our tracks system. It's a software that we use to issue tickets electronically. So we're getting the codes moved into that, so that process in process and doing well.
That's the summary of the ordinance?
Yes.
Can you send like to Bach and those guys?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
They're looking for that.
Okay, we'll do.
Point of sale.
We've talked about it. I give that instruction in my group. I'll check and see if that's already been done.
Okay.
That was already requested that they do that. Perfect. Yeah, great handout for their people.
Yep.
The same one the officers are going to use to enforce, the same one they can inform their customers with. Hart team has been busy. We had a visitor this week, July 28th, at our Hart meeting. Senator Caitlin Dray came and visited us. Not only listened to the meeting and the different participants, but one of the practical end results of that is she's going to help us out on speeding up some of the processes of Social Security, getting people their ID cards and through that system faster. So she said, I'm a resource for you. Keep me in the loop. Let me know if we have any issues with that going forward. And that has been one of the bottlenecks we've been having on outreach. So that'll be something we're going to use her to do. The 5th of this month, 10:30 out at the Woodbury County LEC, there's a homeless court meeting, which is going to be a multi-jurisdictional group. We're hoping to look at some things we can do in a judicial sense to alleviate our problems with homelessness. So related to that. We've got an encampment. I will call it an encampment. It's over by Baumgars. This has come up before. It's on, I think we determined it's actually county property. It's back. We've flown a drone over it. It was quite entertaining. I don't know if some of you have seen that footage. Some guy comes out and notices the drone's on station, and he's like throwing shovels and water bottles at the drone. It's quite entertaining, but there is quite a bit of an encampment there going on. So work on that continues. 407 West 2nd, we have an encampment. I guess we want to call it an encampment. It's a nuisance property. Inspections has it. A homeless person is just accumulating property on this lot. So it's continuing to grow. Last I heard, there was a brief an extension given to that homeowner. I believe that's kind of an out-of-state ownership situation. The homeless person obviously local. So we're waiting to hear when we can finally move on that. So inspections has that for our end.
Can I circle back to by Baumgars?
Yeah.
Is that a joint effort then with us? Because I know you said it's the county's property. Are we working in tandem, or are they?
So I walked that property with the railroad. I met the guy out of Sioux Falls. He came down. They're open-minded when they go to trim in the fall to kind of help, but I think that we're at a point where the county, the county was with us too, is that in this fall, I think we wait till the foliage drops now. But it's going to cost some dollars. Mike, you and I have talked about it. It might be just time to just get the dozer in there and open it up, just expose it. And I think if they're joint, it's not really Baumgars. What's the one there's the property to the east that is kind of the gateway to it, is another one that we have started to reach out to. So it's going to be a joint effort this fall. It's on the radar. I'm with you. I think it's time just to put some daylight on it, no pun intended.
If we get permission to act on it, we'll move on it. Just
Yep.
didn't want to cross up jurisdictions.
Right.
Permissions on that. So it's getting established. The more we,
How we're moving.
It's awful down through there.
yeah, the more we let it go. So big push recently in the Cook Park area. What that has caused another problem. What we run into is the nearby businesses. It pushes people from the park to the nearby businesses. So dumpster diving, et cetera. We've made contact with everyone in the area talking about options of securing waste receptacles, et cetera. That can all help, but we know what we know. It's a constant maintenance, and we move from one other area to another. So we just continue to work the problem. Enforcement's been up across not just the Hart team, but to the uniform patrol that I oversee now. The uniform patrol enforcement is up. So Public intox is being addressed. 14th Street corridor is really looking very nice. We've had some good efforts out there.
Captain, with the enforcement, what does that look like for you guys? Is that tickets? Is that jail time? What is?
All the above. All the above. Obviously, if people are not responsive to a lower level, please move along, please leave, please take your stuff and leave, and they insist on being argumentative or combative or fighting, then they got it. We towed a vehicle this week that was a nuisance vehicle over by Gospel Mission. That was met with a lot of pleasantries from the neighborhood as we were towing the vehicle and hooking it up. We had several business owners came by, giving us the thumbs up. Gospel Mission staff came out. Apparently, the individual had given them a hard time, so they were happy to see it and get moved along. So we've been working closely with legal. Kudos to Caleb. He answered a question an officer had recently on a parking enforcement, which ended up, Caleb presented a positive option for law enforcement, so we passed that out to our officers as well. Some enforcement there too.
So Ryan, let me ask you, is when the data that I get from your department, and thank you, is it separate from the fire department data, their calls? So am I seeing both your calls? Are we seeing both your calls, or that's just your calls?
The data that you're presenting, the heart reports?
Yeah.
CDPD only.
So we haven't even seen any of the fire calls that are getting at this point, which we're going to start to ask for, because these people are asking me, we should be asking those things. Other question is, do you feel, and I know Nicole's not going to like this term, and I keep using, is attractive nuisance, which is the facilities up through that, uptown. Have you guys been watching that in the mornings? The kind of the show that goes on every morning still through there? I know I'm the bad guy again, but we only bring this up every 3 weeks now. It is an absolute disgrace going through there in the mornings. The homeless, the people sleeping on the streets and everything. It's just, I just can't believe it's our city. And I don't understand. So now we've reached out, we're far enough into this process where we've identified the people that want help. And there's 223 people now we've identified that don't want help. So now we as a community have to say, well, I guess we're just going to house them on the street. That's where we're at. That's the standstill that we're at right now. It's not pointed at you. I'm just saying, is that where we're at? Because you guys, at heart, now we know who the players are. We have 206 bus tickets we've taken out, the people that want the support, and it's humane, it's awesome, it's great, and we know the people that want help, and we see the pendings not. So we have 223 people now. We just decided that this is how we're gonna live. Is that where we're at?
You have a combination of factors that lead to it. With all of our services, not just, it's the food pantries, it's shelters, which there are more than one, and there are multiple food pantries, multiple shelters. We have medical treatment downstairs, or downtown, transportation. It's the combination of every single thing. Downtown parks, it all goes together. One of the items that came up as a discussion point is that maybe what are we looking into doing a public bathroom downstairs? Some kind of they have them in Portland, which has more of a prevalence of homelessness. They have a thing called the Portland Loo. It's about $100,000. It's a stainless steel construction, near bulletproof, indestructible public toilet, so people have a place to go to the bathroom. These are all things that are considered, but it's a double-edged sword. You gain one and lose the other. So why we have services and different things in a certain area, I think we're going to draw people.
I just want to go back, and this is the right turn that I'm taking with the homeless is who's paying these facilities, who's donating these facilities, who's propping these facilities up that is facilitating our downtown, because the bottom line is these facilities are being funded, and that's what allows them to be attracted to it. And I guess that's, if the dollars weren't there, the facilities weren't there. So the people that are writing the checks, the big checks, need to understand this is what you're doing to downtown now. This is what your check is doing. The intentions are good, but now you're funding these 223 that is when you drive up and down and what we have to live with. Because at the end of the day, that's what's they got to be supported, they got to be maintained, so that's the angle I'm going to start taking, because they're the ones that are facilitating this behavior and allowing this behavior downtown. I applaud you what you're doing. I know you're trying hard. I think we had two was it prostitution or just open sex this week on the streets, on the mattresses? I think we had 2 events.
Well, that's news to me. Those haven't crossed.
Yeah, well, I get the text messages, and I'll show you. So I think we only had 2 this week, so that's fantastic. So we're down.
Yeah, well, just to reiterate, we are not, on one side of the coin, we're not, homelessness is not a crime, of course. Yeah. And on the other side, crime is crime. And so if people are violating the law, if they're assaulting and doing criminal trespass, we want to have a zero tolerance with that and address it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Rick?
Briefly. Mike, real quick, we talk about, I think that we've got some really good momentum in the community with our attitude. I think people are feeling some really positive things that are happening. So I call the customer service line here in town, and it says, you pick up and it sends you, and it says, due to staffing shortages, your wait time is going to be longer than normal. And it's been doing that now for about 3 or 4 years. Why are we saying doing to staffing shortages? Because immediately it gives a negative connotation of that somehow that we're not doing the job, so they're underfunded, and we can't do this. Okay, why can't we be like any other organization? It had its purpose. I knew why they put it in there years ago. And I think I'd like to see us change that over to, hey, we're currently serving other citizens in the community. We appreciate your patience. Thanks for your inquiry to our city of Sioux City. Why does it have to be a negative connotation with the customer service? So please, it's a simple. No, it's not on you. It's been there for long before you. The other one is that I know we never get to talk in a public setting like this, so real briefly, and I'm not trying to get too deep, but Knife River, did that get settled today on their LOU? Because you said you gave it to the end of July?
I did not receive a response.
So that deal was cut before this council came there, and I thought it was a short deal anyway. And if they're not stepping up, then I think it's very fair game to say, I as a council member would like to go back and take another look at that contract. If they didn't get on it and get it in front of us.
There's no contract.
That's what I'm saying. They kind of seem like that deal was there. Why haven't they moved on it? I know those guys are good friends, but.
They're not interested, and that's obvious.
Yeah, well, they went across the river and they got their approval for their rail. So now they've kind of, here we sit, and we appreciate them. We want them here. But at some point now, they've blown through their deadline, and now it's going to give us an opportunity to have a conversation.
We've got other ones that I mentioned.
I'm with you, Bob. Yep, we're good. Moving in, the next one is going to be, look forward to the interviews and finishing out the process with the police chief. And just the public's aware, we're all aware of what's going on with the process. Let the process play out. We're not Des Moines.
Get the process.
Yeah, we're not Des Moines. We're not, the Sioux City School Board. We're very well aware that we didn't get this thing hired. We got this thing between the buoys. We're okay. Second thing, Mr. Mayor, I want to compliment you. And again, you brought this up about the spec building. I think the interest on the spec buildings is really good. I've had 2 developers reach out, and one of them actually wants to do a 100,000 square foot building, possibly on that property. So I think that we're moving. And so again, I want to compliment you for bringing it. We didn't know it existed and we could do it, so it's fantastic. Also, I'd like to bring to this council attention, because again, to the public, we don't get to talk. This is how we get to talk as a group. The interest, and Renee's not here, but follow up with her. The interest right now, and Julie, you and I are on these conversations together. The interest of affordable workforce housing. She hates that word, affordable. Workforce housing is really, really, really growing. We're drawing there's some of the players that have been in Sioux Falls and stuff are coming back, and they're looking at really big projects that are coming. So we're going to exhaust these DIG funds, guys, and it's going to, Mr. Mayor's not going to sleep tonight when I ask for more DIG funds. But we're going to have to go back to that barrel, because they are coming back, and this is part of our economic boom here in Sioux City. So I just want to kind of wet the whistle there. And then last but not least is the cardboard issue. I think the public is still under the impression that that we recycle somehow that cardboard that's collected. Somebody needs to give us some clarity that what happens to the cardboard after it's picked up. Is Gil just throwing it in the dump? Because if it is, why are we going through this charade of collecting cardboard and having the dumping site downtown not for businesses? And if we do want to go back to collecting cardboard, then why don't we just set up a system out at 28th Street at the dump?
28th taking
and they are. I seen that. I did see it for free. But then let's eliminate the expense and the dumping that's going on downtown with cardboard, because I'm not convinced that they're actually. I think it's an illusion. I don't think they're actually recycling the cardboard. But we also have a lead.
They say they are.
Let's say they are, but I don't know if they are. But we actually have a lead on possibly a company out
The only
of,
thing that they make money on.
you'd think, but there's no more, but we do have a lead, an individual reached out to me from Omaha, and they are looking at sites, because they have a really credible cardboard company, and we might be getting one of those in Sioux City. But until then, we don't need all that dumping downstairs and other communities dumping their cardboard. So let's just push it to 28th Street. Just my recommendation. I'd like that to be a discussion for council. Other than that, let's have a great
I
week.
suggested that ERA take the dumpster from the Tyson parking lot.
Yeah, get it.
Being abused.
Yeah, they're leaving chairs,
Let's
couches.
pull it
Yeah,
until we
figure it out.
get it under.
Yeah.
But yes, there are people from other communities coming, couches and all kinds.
And I just like some clarity that we're actually, that where the cardboard's going. Because I think, I
I'm
think it's,
pretty sure they
I think it's
can cycle it, because that
Okay.
is a moneymaker, as the mayor said. That's one thing that,
you'd think,
right.
yeah.
All right, Craig?
Just a couple of items. I think was mentioned earlier, Captain Bertrand mentioned, I think the homeless court meetings this week. I think those are going to be really healthy dialogue with the group that Jennifer is bringing in. So I encourage everybody, I know they're public forums, certainly the council's invited. So I look forward to that dialogue and to learn a little bit more about what a homelessness court can do for our community. I think, Captain, what I was going to say when you were giving your heart update is I respect everybody's perspective on how we process this issue, but I've shared with Mike my perspective of this is a much broader, much more global, a very complicated issue that's not going to be addressed simply by looking at one location or one process. And until we get our arms around all of the issues and identify all of the participants and all of the players, we're going to continue to have this dialogue every Monday. This needs to be a much broader, much more detailed discussion.
What is it? What's the broader discussion?
Broader discussion is bringing all of the parties together, allowing all of the parties to give perspective. And as I've shared before, I think we need to look very closely at the Court Street property and whether that property, the former Boys and Girls Home, can be considered to be an administrative location and a housing location to help process and administer these issues. And I think until we have that, and that may not be the right location, it may not be the answer, but until we start coming up with broader dialogue, bringing all of the parties together, we're not going to get to a solution. But I think this week will be very helpful in visiting with Jennifer and her team on the homelessness court issue. Stephen did a great job on the Yamanashi City relationship last week. I appreciate being included in that great event. Rivercade Parade was great, brought back a lot of years of memories, both as a youth, but also the years that I was on city council before and we got to participate in the parade. So thanks for including us on that. We've had some good dialogue on the Innovation Center. There were good presentations and good dialogue last week, and I'm encouraged by that. Renee is doing an incredibly good job of helping administer that, the Innovation Center with her board. I know Julie and I are ex officio or city representatives, and Renee is doing an excellent job, and she needs to be recognized and commended. The water bills since last week have been an issue that we've been talking about, and candidly, the maybe dozen or so phone calls that I've received have all been explained and resolved. There was a misunderstanding. I think people were getting their bills. They saw a higher bill, and they were realizing that the average increase for the 300% increase was a very, very small part. And I think we're working through those issues, so hopefully we'll continue to get clarity there. Rick, I'm glad you brought up the Knife River issue and the letter of understanding that we're going to move on from. We're going to look for other opportunities in that location, and I think we'll be bigger and better. And then I also want to wish my wife a happy 35th wedding anniversary. Thank you.
Ike?
Absolutely. And to Craig's point, I think when it comes to the homelessness, it's an ever-moving target, and I agree with you. It's such a bigger issue and a bigger dialogue that we need to touch on. Just wanted to, I know with the presentations it's helpful to bring some clarity and those things, and Mike, if we could do something on change orders so that we can maybe get some understanding on that. Also, maybe just having a conversation or getting calls about the whole police chief thing, maybe we should do some civil service presentation so people understand what that process looks like,
Right.
And understand how that all.
Yes, because we've not been introduced to the person. We haven't seen a resume.
Right.
We haven't spoken to them. They haven't had any Q&A. They take the test. they qualify or they don't qualify, to continue the process. So I know there's a lot of people saying, how is city council letting this happen? And
Right.
do better and find somebody better, all these things, but we have nothing to do with the process yet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I just think for some clarity in terms,
That's a good idea.
We should definitely do that. I had the opportunity, Bob Henderson had asked that I be a part of the reading of the Declaration of Independence this past Saturday, and had brought a bunch of guys together, and we did that in costume and all that good stuff. And so I may try to post a picture of it on
I think you should.
Facebook.
If it's as good as your Martin Luther King.
Hey, well, you know, it was it was something, right? But it was fun. It was, you know, to really read the words of the Declaration of Independence and hear those words was really interesting and a cool little event. So I was thankful for being a part of that. Excited about the Planet to Plate event that's coming up this weekend. It's always great to see our local folks, you know, doing things that benefit this community, and having an opportunity for that. And so that's it.
Well, you all took everything I was going to say, from the parades to the innovation market to housing to everything. So I have nothing further.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott? Berenstein?
Aye.
Bertrand? Aye. Rayford?
Aye.